Hi everybody, my name is Manan Puri and I'm the co-founder of Strategy for GMAT. Today I have with me Imran Kanga, who's heading admissions and recruitments at Rotman MBA Canada. Since last year, we had this video with Imran, link in the description. I would want to talk about what has changed from them. Last year was a landmark in terms of college applications to a lot of for a lot of schools in terms of number of applications, and obviously marred by the pandemic, and a lot of schools including Rotman have really changed the way they work in the new normal, and I would want Imran to talk about that as well, and hearing from him about Rotman and why you should apply to this B school. Thank you, Imran, for being here.
My pleasure, Manan. Thank you for having me.
Great, great. So let's get down to business, and as last year, I'm sure you'll be as candid. So the first thing that I want to ask you here is that there is a lot of information on the website about Rotman and the MBA program, what it entails. Given somebody who's gone through all of that, what else would you like the prospective applicants to know?
That's a great question, Manan. Yes. So, as you said, like there's a lot of information available on the website about the program, the different study paths that are available, a lot of admissions information, the criteria and what we look for in candidates. Something that obviously would not be available on the website is the student experience side of things, which as much as possible, we always encourage our prospective students or applicants to engage with current students to learn more about that side of things, because that's not easily captured on the website, and that's something that I feel like Rotman and the MBA program specifically, it really shines in this area, because we have an entire office dedicated to the student experience and student life. It's called the Office of Student Engagement, and they are responsible for curating about 1,000 experiential learning opportunities for our students. So not easily captured, not able to capture that on the website, obviously, but our current students who are engaged in these activities would be awesome sources of a great resource for prospective students to reach out to, and we were happy to facilitate those connections. So, things like our self-development lab, how that has helped students kind of break out of their shell, improve their communication skills, their interpersonal relationship skills, like working in a team, managing team dynamics, negotiation skills. So key skills that are important, on the softer side, but still important in business and management. So our self-development lab, the Rotman onboard program, another awesome opportunity for students who want some board experience. What is it like to sit on a board and be mentored by the chairman of that board? So we have that. We have Rotman City Lab, which is it's a new research center focused on the future of building smart cities. So for students who are interested in these kind of niche, unique areas like real estate and infrastructure, or business design, that's a new area that's kind of grown at Rotman. So there's so many more that I can talk about, but I think these experiential learning opportunities would be something that I would highly encourage our prospective students or applicants to look into, because while there are obviously short descriptions about it, I think connecting with us and learning more about those would give you a much more holistic picture of what to expect at Rotman, outside of just the program structure and admissions, of course.
Right. And I could totally vouch that, few students who worked with us last year are facing actually a problem of plenty. It's so difficult to choose from, this buffet of items and what's good for them. So that's a good problem to have, though.
Absolutely. Yeah, you said it, it is really like a buffet. And students have the problem of FOMO, right? You can't do everything, there's not enough hours in the day to do everything. So you have to really prioritize what's important to you, what you're hoping to gain from the program, and then just focus your energy and your time and resources on those specific things.
Right. And, last year, I'm sure, was difficult, like for everybody around the world. So how have you guys adopted or fully adopted to the new normal? Any change to the course structure as such and the content versus the previous years?
Actually, I'm happy to report, Manan, that our new normal is, well, it's pretty close to the old normal. So, for us, that's a good thing. At least of the program structure and the curriculum is the same. This fall, I mean, the students who started last fall are now in their second year, and now they're on campus, but they were completely virtual for the entire first year. But they're excited to be on campus. And of course, our first year students that just started about a month ago are also, really excited to be on campus, to be meeting with their classmates in person, on, working on group projects together, in class together. So, I'm really happy to report that, we've been lucky, I guess, in Toronto to be able to pivot back to more in-person activities.
Right, and in terms of the content as well, because the world has exponentially gone digital compared to previous years, and in fact last year as well. So I guess there is a lot more focus on the digital side of things from the course structure itself.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, students, there's still, it's not as easy as like in person versus online. I think for the foreseeable future, I think we have to offer both, because students, may not be in Canada at all times. There's travel delays and visa delays and things like that. So, I think we have to be flexible, and we are being flexible. But, at least students that are in, that are in Canada are encouraged to participate, on campus as much as possible. Now, one thing that is I guess new this year is the vaccination policy. So, students that are on campus are required to be, fully vaccinated, unless you have like a medical exemption or something like that. But that's something that's new this year. Nothing to do with, again, the program, the curriculum or anything, but more so to do with like the safety precautions and protocols that are in place.
Right. Totally makes sense. And coming to the Indian.
Sorry, in terms of content, sorry, Manan. In terms of content, the one thing that I guess I haven't received an update on are the study tours and the exchanges. So in terms of the curriculum, students last year, they were still, I guess, on virtual exchange, where they would take classes at, a partner business school, internationally, but they just physically would not be able to go to that school, and it was reciprocal, right? So, students from other business schools across the world were taking classes at Rotman, but they just physically were not here.
Right. And that should hopefully open up, considering vaccination
Hopefully,
is done,
yes.
and
Yeah.
God willing, yes.
Yeah.
Right. And now specifically for the Indian or non-Canadian applicants, how easy or difficult is it right now to get employment visas in Canada? And, specifically with the announcement that there is a target in the next 4 to 5 years for immigrants, for a lack of a better term, how has that impacted your application? And, also if you would want to talk about the scenario on the ground.
Sure. I mean, I think the scenario on the ground is, it's kind of a function of, the aging Canadian population. Over the past few years, Canada has realized that the workforce will be aging in the next, over the next decade, and there is going to be a gap in the workforce that they're going to need to fill. And, with the current population growth rate, they're foreseeing that there will be a shortage in the workforce that's not going to be able to fill that gap, right? So, so that's really the underlying reason why Canada has opened up immigration, but they've opened it up in a way that, facilitates the right kind of immigration, right? So that's why you have the express entry pool for, specifically for graduates of master's programs, or, there's other provincial nominee programs depending on the kinds of skills and the education and experience that you have. So they are looking to, build a workforce, but there are certain needs and, necessities and gaps that they're trying to fill. But, that's why, for MBA graduates, you would classify as sort of the highest skill category, and they're offering a fast track option essentially, which is the express entry option to permanent residency. Now, so this is not, this is regardless of your nationality. This is for anyone, any international student. And what's different and why it's advantageous, for Canada specifically, unlike, the US or European countries where the employer has to sponsor a permit, in Canada, the permit is given to you by the government. So it's sort of like a 4-step process. When you apply and get into a business school, or for a master's or an MBA program, you get a work permit. If it's a 2-year program, you get a 2-year work permit. 2-year study permit. And then once you complete the two, your program, your study permit then turns into a work permit, because you have to apply. You get you have to submit proof that you've completed your program, and then the government issues you a work permit of up to 3 years. So now you're on a work permit, and this work permit is an open work permit. So it allows you to work anywhere in Canada with any company, and you're not tied to a specific employer. So, after 2 years, if you find a better opportunity with another company, you're free to move, you're free to switch jobs. So you're not tied to a specific employer. Now, once the work permit period expires, you would have accumulated enough points or experience to get your permanent residency. So you would then, get your permanent residency if your plan is to stay in Canada long term. And then once you're a permanent resident, you stay in Canada and then can apply for citizenship. So it's a pretty straightforward process. I'm not an immigration consultant, so I'll speak very generally to that, but that's kind of the process that students would have to go through. But it's very straightforward, very transparent.
Right. No, that's appreciated, and I'm sure you see a lot of students and can definitely comment on it. So I think that's good. And finally, before we go towards the admissions process questions or discussion, this is back to you as a school. So Rotman versus other schools in Canada and US. How are you different?
I think, something that I alluded to earlier, which is the sort of extracurricular activities, the experiential learning opportunities. Though there are some that are very unique to Rotman, like our city lab, for example, like the creative destruction lab at Rotman, the business design initiative. Those are some really those research centers are doing some really groundbreaking research, and students who are interested in those areas like entrepreneurship or real estate, infrastructure, business design, product development, product strategy. There's some world-class thinkers, thought leaders that are leading and running these research institutes. So students are able to participate on projects with these research centers. So that's a very unique learning opportunity for students. But of course, there's other differences. Obviously, there's some 2-year programs, there's 1-year programs. We're obviously a 2-year full-time program. We are the largest full-time program in Canada, which is cohort based. So we start once a year. We don't have multiple starts a year. So everyone in the program, we have 300 students each year coming into the program. Everyone starts together, everyone finishes together. And I think that, that allows for students to really spend as much time as possible with their classmates to get to know them on a more personal level and build a network, So while the cohort size is large, the classroom size at Rotman is still quite small. It's between 60 to 70 students in the first year, and then somewhere between like 30 to 40 students in the second year because you're doing electives. So the class sizes are quite small, which I think need to be small in an MBA environment to facilitate like classroom discussions and presentations and things like that. But being the largest program in Canada, that in a span of 2 years, you get to meet around 1,000 MBA students. So when you're in the first year, you're obviously meeting with your cohort of 300, but then you have the senior cohort, which is another 300. And then when you are in the second year, you get to meet the first year students, which is another 300 students. So you leave after 2 years with a pretty large network of professionals, from all over the world and from different backgrounds and different walks of life. So it's a very diverse and accomplished network that you gain access to. So that's a big advantage of being the largest in Canada. I can't speak to the US because there's so many schools in the US, but the other, I think, key differentiator for Rotman is our location. I mean, we're located right in the heart of downtown Toronto. Within about a 15-minute walking distance of the financial district or the commercial district. So that allows students to, actively pursue opportunities with companies, maybe whether that's meeting with alumni, having coffee chats with hiring managers in the downtown core, throughout the week and throughout their program. So they're not sort of reliant on, trips into the city specifically for networking, or they're not reliant on employers coming on campus, which also happens quite a lot because we're so close by. So I think our location is a huge advantage for students who are able to network both on and off campus and build their network while they're in the program. I think, another key differentiator for our MBA program is that our internship is mandatory. So as part of a 2-year program, every single student in the MBA has to complete an internship, and it's called a flexible internship program because students are able to complete the internship requirement either in the summer or in the fall or in the winter semester of the second year. But they have to complete it. And, so really the focus in the first year for students is, obviously completing the core requirements of the program, the prerequisite business courses, but also actively pursuing internship opportunities, both on and off campus. And the reason it's become an integral part of the program is because our Career Center has done a lot of research over the past decade or so. And they've shown that, students who are able to, complete an internship are 3 times more likely to actually land a full-time job in Canada than students who don't. And, I think that if you look at our internship statistics, I mean, the employment report is on the website, the conversion rate for internships is quite high, so every year it varies, but it's, around 30 to 40% of our students go into the second year already with a full-time job offer in hand. So that, kind of takes the pressure off in your second year, because if you interned with the, company that you were targeting in the first place, you've already got your job offer, and, you can now move on to picking off other things on the Rotman menu that you may have not had time for if you were still continuing job hunting, right? So, so that I'd say is another, unique aspect of the Rotman program.
So that's great, and especially for with the kind of audience you attract, right? International students, it's important for them to also get into the Canadian culture of working.
Absolutely,
find that niche there. Right?
Yeah, something that all employers do ask for is Canadian experience. What is your Canadian, like, do you have Canadian experience? And the only way really for international students to bridge that gap of lack of Canadian experience is to get your foot in the door with Canadian companies, and the internship opportunity allows you to do that. So
right. Great. Thanks for that. So moving on to the admissions process, last year, how do you see this year compared to last year with respect to the number of applications or the competition as such, given that, things have opened up now? So from a shortlisting criteria point of view as well, will anything change compared to last year?
You know, our application, so our application cycle just opened. So it opened in early September. But year over year, if I'm comparing sort of, 2019 to 2020, the trend is definitely upward, and 2021 as well for our incoming class. We saw a further increase in applications. So, the pool is getting more competitive every year. We haven't changed our, our requirements. We haven't changed any of our criteria. But, we are getting to pick from a stronger pool of applicants. So one thing that you may have noticed is our GMAT average, increased from 670 last year to 680 this year.
Yeah.
Now, it's not because we were actively trying to increase it. GMAT is only a one part of the application. So, that's by no means, the true metric of the quality of the class. But, it has increased, which means students are applying with stronger GMAT scores. But our range remain by and large, broadly the same. We accepted students, believe with the range of students accepted was 570 to like 770 in the program, with the average being about 680. So, we haven't instituted any cutoffs or any kind of criteria like that. So admission criteria remains the same.
Great. And let me ask a slightly, controversial question, because there is a myth or at least a perception going around across all international schools that for Indian candidates, you expect at least a 20 to 30% point jump over the average scores. How true is that?
It's not that we expect it. Yes, Indian applicants do test higher than applicants from other countries. I think it's it's because Indian students have been exposed to the testing culture from a very and also I like English being the business language in India, and students in India having studied in English and who speak English fluently, they have less of a challenge than students from other countries where the language of instruction at the undergrad or high school level was not English, right? So so we do take that into account, and of course there is no separate GMAT criteria for Indian students versus non-Indian students, and we see a broad range of scores from Indian applicants as well. So not to say that students with below like a 700 were not admitted into the program, but yeah, I mean you know the stats better than I do.
Yes.
Indian applicants, they do test higher, but it doesn't mean that it's more competitive. Like it's harder for them to get in versus anyone else, because so much depends on the other elements of the application, right? Like the other elements of what we look for in our candidates.
Yeah, and then wanted to clear this out, and in fact last year a few folks that worked with us, Indians, got in with a 670, 680, and 690 even.
Absolutely.
So
because they're it's a holistic review, right? So they if you this is something I'd like the viewers or applicants to take away, right? And this is not just Rotman specific. This is advice for any business school that you're applying to. We, as in our admissions reviews, we are looking for reasons to admit you into the program. So as long as you can give me a compelling reason for why you're a great fit for the Rotman MBA program, why how the value that you're going to bring to the program and what you're going to get out of it as well. That's all I care about. If that's, whether that's a GMAT score or some fantastic work experience or an amazing reference that you submitted, or whatever it is, like it may or may not be the GMAT, and I think that's and you just said it. There were students who were admitted with 670. There were students admitted with 570.
Yes.
Right? So,
true. Great. Thank you so much. And staying on the criteria itself, again, how in terms of GMAT, GRE, the quality of the essay and spike factor, resume, and interview performance. are these kind of equal across, or you treat the application and one bucket and interview the other in general in terms of the final outcome? I'm sure you can't give the percentages weightage, but at a broad level.
Sorry, Mana, can you repeat that? I missed that. It was,
No worries, no worries. So I'm saying from a criteria perspective, the application element has a video, essay plus
yeah.
resume, GMAT, GRE, and of course the essay.
Oh,
Then,
right. Okay. Okay. Understood.
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. I think I addressed this last year, but I'll address it again. So in terms of what we look for in our applicants, we look at 4 different elements of their application, right? The first is academics. So that's everything to do with, your GMAT, GRE, your undergrad degree, the GPA, any awards, or certifications or designations that you may have. The next is experience, so work experience and impact. We look for leadership experience, if a candidate has any. But career progression, how has their career progressed from the time they started working after undergrad up to now, prior to joining the program. We look at their communication skills. So that's really the video assessments and the essay, the timed essay that's also part of the application. So those are kind of assessing a candidate's both like verbal as well as written communication. And then the last is spike factor, which is, sort of the what else, right? You've got the academics, you've got the work experience. So what else is like interesting about you that you want us to know about? So all of these are equally important, I would say. We assess these, with equal importance. And any one of these could sort of make or break your application, and successful applicants would be ones that would kind of check most of the boxes, right? So I'll leave it there. I mean, I wouldn't say, one is more important than the other, because you can't, like, how can you say that a GMAT score is more important than a candidate's work experience, because if their work experience was amazing, they're contributing something very different to the class than someone with, very strong analytical skills that may have done well in the GMAT, right? So you can't, they both are strong in their own way. And so it's not easy to compare.
Yeah, and in fact, I've heard, in orientation, the spike factors are actually displayed in front of the class, and you talk about their spike factors.
Absolutely,
so pretty
yeah. It's a really humbling experience, because you come in thinking, like I've done all this stuff, I'm a strong applicant, and then suddenly you're sitting next to, an Olympic athlete and a musician, and you're like, okay, I'm excited to be here. I'm going to learn a lot from the people in my class and in my network, right? So.
Okay. So the early decision round is done. Round 1 is another 4 days away. Next Monday, first week of October. So, in terms of R1 versus R2 versus R3, in terms of difficulty to get in our competition, what would your advice be to students or the applicants?
Yeah, I think, our advice to applicants is always apply as early as possible. So if you can, if you're ready to go with the application, definitely apply in round 1, but no later in round 2. So we get a majority of our applications between round 1 and round 2. So we make, most of our offers, and we have most of our class in by the end of round 2. And so to maximize your chance, not only of being admitted, but also of getting a good scholarship, I would just say apply as early as possible, because both of these are, finite quantities, right? Space in the program as well as scholarship funds available. And the later you apply, that just diminishes your chances. I mean, we've had amazing applicants in round 4 that we've not been able to admit because there's simply no space available in the program. Or, even if we're able to admit them, they may receive a scholarship that's much lower than what they would have received if they had applied in round 1. So my advice in general is always, if you are ready with to put forward a strong application, then apply and don't delay it.
All right, great, thanks for that. And in terms of communicating decisions by rounds. I understand that's a rolling process also. Some candidates have already heard about the interview calls or the early decision. So is there a pattern to it, or is it just, as soon as you assess, you give a decision out?
So I think it's, I mean, we work within rounds. So, if let's say we receive 100 applications in this round, we obviously shortlist the strongest applications. We assess them first, and let's say we shortlist 50 out of the 100. The other 50 we would either, if they didn't, if they didn't meet our requirements, they would be refused. Or if there's, if there's something strong, something we like about their application, they would be waitlisted until we get to the next round. And, we will assess who comes in the next round. And if they're still, if they're still not a competitive applicant, then they would be refused in the next round. So we will communicate a decision, whether it's admitted or refused or waitlisted, within the round deadline. And we publish both our round application deadlines as well as decision deadlines on the website. So we will communicate one of those decisions to you. And if you're waitlisted, you will get you won't be waitlisted for an additional round. So if you're waitlisted in round one, you will get, a decision of whether either you're admitted or refused in the next round. So we don't like to keep students waiting as well for extended periods of time.
No, that's really, empathetic of you, because it is getting under the nerves of a lot of people. And so the message essentially is, until you get a decision, there is still hope. So don't lose hope when if others are getting interview calls.
No, and it's just it's volume. We're working from home, and we have a huge volume of applications to get through. So I appreciate your patience, and please bear with us, but we will get you a decision by the round deadline.
Great. Okay. So in terms of students or candidates applying to the program, which candidates do you think should not apply to the program, who are not the fitment?
Yeah, I mean, you have to assess. That's I think that's different for each candidate. You have to assess whether you fit well with the program. So a good place would be, look at the class profile, look at where students are, getting jobs, look at the graduating class employment statistics, and see if the Rotman program may be the best suited program for you. So maybe, if you have too many years of work experience, doing a 2-year program may not be the most valuable use of your time. You might want to do a shorter, like 1-year program that doesn't have an internship, because, if you have 10 years of work experience, an internship of 3-4 months is really not going to add a lot of value to your profile. And you may be, better suited with a 1-year program that gets you in and out of the workforce in a, much quicker. So there's different elements of fit, right? If you're looking at an a career in let's say, I don't know, media, right? Rotman is not a media focused school. So if you are looking for a role within, let's say, media or the arts, I don't think Rotman would be a good fit for you. If you're looking for a career in tech, in finance, in consulting, in marketing, there's a lot of jobs opportunities available. So you have to look at, and then also it's curriculum. If you're interested in taking certain courses, they may not be offered, either in the core or in the elective courses at Rotman. So then obviously, you're not getting what you are hoping to get to meet your career objectives. So yeah, I would say, assess your fit. And the only way you can do that is by doing research. You have to really research the school to understand what to expect when you're at the school. And we facilitate, that research. So if you're interested in connecting with students or with alumni or with faculty, like, we're happy to make those connections. But at the end of the day, the students that come to the program, it should be a two-way street, right? They should have something to offer to the Rotman community, and the Rotman community and the program should be of value addition to them. And if either one of those two are not in place, then, you know, both parties, like both Rotman as well as the students, are not going to have a good experience. So yeah, so fit is very important. And you know, we're more than happy to provide feedback on profile and, you know, like I said, assist in that research process.
Yeah, and you know, putting it out there, Rotman is one of the better schools out there to give you candid feedback upfront. So if you're not
Absolutely.
fit enough to apply,
Yeah.
they'll tell you upfront. Yeah.
Absolutely. And don't take that personally. You know, like we give candidates negative feedback, it's in their best interest, you know, because we don't want you to apply and be, you know, be refused, or we don't want you to apply, be admitted, and then be unhappy. So, you know, so we tell you, we'll tell you upfront for sure.
Great. Okay. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
None from me.
Okay,
I think we covered a lot.
Great. Thank you so much, Imran, for taking out time, and you know, all the best to all the applicants who are applying.
My pleasure, Manan. And yes, good luck. Keep in touch with us. Manan, if you could provide our admissions office email in the video, that would be great. But yeah, good luck, and stay in touch. Thanks, Manan.
Thank you.